Hi, my name is Nate Mullen. I'm an artist, I'm an educator, somatic practitioner. I'm making this video to try and talk about this project. Right now I call it the Ginko Crosswalk. And that's because it's a crosswalk made out of ginkgo leaves. So let's talk a little bit about it. I am a resident of the Cass Corridor, and I'm also a parent of a 6-year-old. And so I'm acutely aware of the fact that we don't have a lot of parks in this neighborhood. And that the only parks that we kind of really have access to really require us to walk over a freeway. And the pedestrian bridges over those freeways have recently, one of them's been closed because it's statedly unsafe. All of this to say is that really over the last couple of years, I've become really acutely aware of what's happening within the built environment in my neighborhood and in the city of Detroit. And so I was really excited, and so was my kid and my family and the other kids in the neighborhood were super excited when, as a part of a community benefits agreement, our neighborhood was slated to get new parks. And one of the first one of those parks is one that is at 4th and Calumet. It's really been really wonderful. It's a place that we visit pretty frequently. It's not huge, but it does have this beautiful hill and a slide built into it that I think just makes it a really distinct and kind of wonderful park. And while we've been there, one of the things that's become pretty apparent is that Calumet serves as a thoroughfare for folks getting to the Lodge Freeway. And to make matters worse, there's no crosswalk. There's just an absolute absence. There's not even at a minimum the paint on the ground to demarcate, hey, you might want to be aware that people might be crossing here. Being this person that's attempting to participate more and be more aware of the built environment, I submitted a request for a crosswalk through the Improve Detroit application. I identified where the crosswalk should be. I even drew in the image little spaces and little lines to demarcate, here, you should put the crosswalk here. And it's sat there for over a year with no change. Every couple of months I get an email in my inbox that tells me that nothing's happened with it. This is when my mind starts spinning. And I thought, well, maybe I should just paint my own crosswalk. But being that I'm a person of color and I'm not super excited of having issues with law enforcement, that really didn't feel like it was a good solution. So one afternoon, sitting on the hill in the middle of the park, it dawns on me that the park is surrounded by ginkgo trees. And ginkgo trees are the bee's knees for several reasons. Not only are they one of the oldest types of trees on the planet, they also, in the fall, their leaves turn a golden yellow. And in a very short period of time, the trees shed their leaves and blanket the sidewalks in this golden yellow leaf. It occurred to me that was maybe the crosswalk that we needed. So after thinking and kind of waiting, one Saturday morning, I got up and I collected ginkgo leaves off of the sidewalks. I brought a little red wagon with me and a broom and swept up the ginkgo leaves that I could find on the sidewalks. I talked to the trees, and the trees were like, nah, you should leave the leaves that are in the grass. Just focus on the ones on the sidewalk. I had to ask the trees for permission, right? And it took most of a morning to collect these ginkgo leaves and then start to spread them across the street. For me, there was something so reparative about cleaning the sidewalks in the street. There's a big part of this project that is connected to me as a kid who grew up in this city, not feeling safe when I moved around it. That the city showed up as, at best, an obstacle, at worst, something actively trying to harm you. And some of that is in the stories that we tell about Detroit and how you're supposed to move around it as a kid. Some of it's based in reality of the things you see in the city. Dogs that constantly want to eat you, which was a thing when I was a kid. Or blocks that you know aren't safe because of the things that are happening there. And so this ginkgo crosswalk, this space, this request for safety, is also for me a little bit of a time machine that allows me to actively create the safety that I so desperately needed and wanted as a young person. And it was magical because as we did it, people kind of joined or asked questions about what I was doing. And then my family actually came and joined, and my daughter helped me put the leaves out, and my partner, Jenny, actually, another neighbor gave her a leaf blower, which I think is a silly invention. But while I was making the project, I kept thinking to myself, this is the type of art that I want to make. This is the type of art that makes itself. I just got to show up for it. I mean, the materials came from the sidewalks and the trees around. And the project didn't last forever. I don't even think it lasted the day. By the next day, the leaves were gone. But for that moment, there was a space that kind of made a request that we see people, that we might see the visitors of the playground, that we might see the children, that we might see families, and say that not only are they welcomed in this city or on this street, but they're supposed to be there. They're supposed to cross this street to access this park. A crosswalk is such a small gesture to promote safety, and it breaks my heart that at this very part where we created something, the result also of people in this community working, a playground, that we couldn't take this time to even meet that threshold of throwing some paint on the ground. What could this city be if it was a place that felt safe for our young people to cross streets? What might they be able to access? The built environment is a manifestations of our beliefs and values around who's important and whose safety matters. And it's something that we all participate in. And this project is the beginning of something that I'm going to spend a lot of my fall doing, making crosswalks from the leaves of one of the oldest trees as a request that we honor the safety of everyone. I hope you enjoyed this slideshow. Thank you.